So today, I really just wanted to zero in on a simple concept and just look at what the Bible has to say about the fact that we are never alone. And I just want us to just feel assured of that and recognize that Jesus meant what he said when he said, I'm the good shepherd. And he said, the good shepherd gives his life for the sheep. And then he came back around and said it again, I am the good shepherd and I know my sheep and I am known of mine. And I just want us to never forget and to even remind ourselves that we are in the hands of someone like this. You know, it occurred to me some years ago that this is my mind is a little strange. And so it just went through my mind some years ago that God sort of has to be all powerful. He almost can't help it. That's just, if he's the source of everything, he's all powerful. He has to be all knowing. He can't help that. And he has to be omnipresent. These are characteristics that is just automatic. But there is no reason that God has to be kind. He doesn't have to be good to anyone. He doesn't answer to anyone. He can be any which way that he wants to. He can treat anybody any way he wants to. But it's God's choice to be a good shepherd. And it's God's choice that he came and manifested himself in flesh and gave his life. And it's his choice to know us. He could completely ignore us. He could have set this thing in motion to where we all just sort of get born and then him not pay any attention. But it's his choice to love and to care, and not only to be a God or to be God, but to be a good God. And I appreciate that about this God that we serve. I just want us to look at some verses here today. Job, you know anything about Job? He went through a stretch of life that was very unpleasant. He dealt with things that are not fun, not easy. And in that time, he said, I'm looking for God. I'm trying to find a connection. I'm trying to find a comfort. And I go forward, I'm not finding God there. I go backward, I can't recognize him. I can't perceive him. On the left hand, he's working over there, but I can't see him. He's hiding himself on the right hand. I can't see him over there. And even with Job not able to find his experience of God, he still trusted in this fact. He said, God knows the way that I take. I don't necessarily know the way that God takes, but God knows the way that I take. And Job was still confident, saying, when he has tried me, I'll come forth as gold. So I may go through something, but I'm confident that the only reason I'm going through something is because God is doing a work to improve me. And that's quite a statement of faith. And one thing that I think is a good demonstration of the faith that Job has, verse 10 has to come after verses 8 and 9. In other words, I think sometimes we take a little bit of a cop-out in faith and just say, oh, well, I just trust God, but don't take the steps of faith to seek God. And these things have to go hand in hand. And God does put us through times where we may diligently seek him and feel like we're not getting results. And then God challenges us to rely on our confidence in what we know as opposed to what we feel. At the same time, though, we are to seek God. And there is to come a time, even if we go through a season, there will be a time that we do find that connection, and that we do behold him, and we do perceive him, and we do see him. And so don't be misguided into a false representation of faith that would say, okay, just drop it and just do nothing, and just say, well, I just believe God. If you really believe God, you believe, actually, I should have put this verse on here. Hebrews chapter 11 says, he that comes to God must believe. That makes sense, right? We must believe. We're not going to come to God if we don't believe. But then it tells us what we need to believe. It says, he that comes to God must believe that he is. Okay, that makes sense. We've got to believe in God, believe there is a God, believe God exists, and that he is God, and he is supreme. But then it goes farther than that. It says, he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. And the way God operates, sometimes when we diligently seek him, we get noticeable results right away. Other times we don't. And that's how faith is truly developed and truly operates, that we believe he is a rewarder, even though we don't always experience the reward. And if we stop seeking when we don't experience, then we have allowed our faith to fail. And Jesus told Peter, I'm praying for you that your faith fail not. And if my faith, my belief that he is a rewarder, for that not to fail, I've got to continue to diligently seek him, even when I don't experience the reward, because I believe that he is a rewarder. And that even if he chose not to reward this time, he's going to do it another time, because he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So Job is giving us that extreme model because of what he was going through at the time. It would have been nice, seems like, by my thinking, God has him going through such extreme distress that God just comfort him the whole time. But he didn't do that. And remember what we said a minute ago, that God doesn't answer to anybody? He's going to handle things the way he sees fit. And my second guessing of him is going to be totally irrelevant. But God chose to allow Job to go through these extreme circumstances, and even to leave him with a span of time in that of not being able to recognize or experience God. But that time is limited. And Job just took confidence, knowing that he knows where I am. He knows what I'm going through, and he is not going to destroy me, but he's going to use anything I go through to build me and to bless me. That's faith. And he continued to seek him even without experiencing the results. And then ultimately, he did experience the results. Let's look at Jeremiah. So this is the Lord speaking to Jeremiah, but also to the people at the time. And what's happening at the time is the Lord is making them aware that you're about to go through a tough time, and there's nothing you can do at this point to avoid it. It's going to happen. You're going to go through a time of dealing with a circumstance you don't want. But he's giving them this assurance, saying, but I know, God speaking, I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord. These are thoughts of peace, not of evil, to give you an expected end. In other words, you're about to go through something, and you might wonder what I'm thinking, allowing you to go through this. You might wonder if my intention is literally to bring evil upon you. Evil in the Bible a lot of times doesn't mean wickedness, but it means destructiveness, damage, harm. And he's saying, no, it's not that I'm trying to harm you. I'm actually going to bring you peace through the situation that you're about to go through. And the end of it all, the result of it all, is going to be a good one. And then continuing in the way God is encouraging and assuring as they're going into this, he says, then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me when ye shall search for me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord. So that Hebrews 11, that's a theme verse. I can't believe I didn't put it in here, but that's a theme verse. Look up Hebrews 11. He that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. God told it to Jeremiah as search for me with all your heart. Don't expect me to just be easy. And I really do, when I observe how God builds relationship and creates relationship with me and with individuals, and through Bible examples, when I learn of it and see it happening, there's some parallels to a romantic relationship and how those things get connected and get built. And you know, there's a thing that we call playing hard to get. And if a person is too easy to get, then the connection is not so strong, and the relationship is likely not to be so valuable. But there's a reality and a value in these relationships growing through a little bit of obstacle, a little bit of challenge, a little bit of difficulty. And that's really the way God operates. That, yeah, I'm going to respond, but I'm not going to respond if you quit too easy, you give up too easy. I'm a rewarder of them that diligently seek me, not just anybody and everybody who seeks me any old way. I'm worth diligent seeking. And that's even, again, in a romantic context, a lot of times where a person will be hard to get to whatever extent, it's based on how much value they believe they hold. And if they think they're worth it, they'll make you work for it. And that's how the Lord is. It's like, I'm worth it. Or do you recognize it? Do you believe I'm worth it? Search for me, not your way. Search for me with all your heart. And when you get yourself to the place of doing that, you're going to find me. Jesus gave us this promise that I will not leave you comfortless. I will come to you. It's a promise. And we don't always experience it, but we believe it, and we seek him because we believe it. Psalm 56:9 said, when I cry unto thee, then shall mine enemies turn back. Not just when I just do whatever I'm going to do and just saying, well, God has to make my enemies turn back because he's God. No, when I cry unto thee, then shall my enemies turn back. This I know, for God is for me. God is for me. And he will respond when I seek, when I cry unto him. But he's going to leave me to my own devices if I won't reach out to him. Acts 10, Peter opened his mouth and said, of a truth I perceive that God is no respecter of persons. This, I'm going to share that this passage in Jeremiah, the Lord said, I know the thoughts I have toward you, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. This was presented to me some years ago while I was going through something very, very difficult. And as like, hey, take heart, because the Lord said, I know the thoughts I have towards you. And, I know, and I have thoughts of peace towards you and whatever. Well, I mean, I'm kind of a technical thinker. And I said, well, yeah, but that prophecy in Jeremiah was not prophesied to me. It was prophesied to Jeremiah. and it was prophesied to the people of Israel at that time. So he knew the thoughts that he had toward them, thoughts of peace and not of evil. It's not saying it's toward me, though. But then I realized, though, that the Bible makes it very clear that God is no respecter of persons. And if he's going to have goodwill towards one, then he's going to have goodwill towards any that will seek him and will qualify themselves in that way. He doesn't prefer one over another, but we all have the same access. If anyone has access, you have access. If anyone has God's favor and an opportunity to walk in God's favor, you have that opportunity. 1 Peter 4:19 then says, wherefore let them that suffer according to the will of God commit the keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as unto a faithful creator. That's what Job was doing. He was taking heart that God is a faithful creator and not putting me through something for destruction, but it's for peace. God's not trying to destroy me. If he wanted to destroy me, I'd be done with already. So the fact that I'm still alive at all tells me that God is doing me good. Let's take a look at a passage written by David. Psalm chapter 37 says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of thine heart. So this is just a little bit of more of a reminder that there is some two-way involvement in how and when and God blesses. You know, there's probably my favorite preacher of all time is a guy named Jeff Arnold. If you've never heard him preach, you should go to YouTube and search Jeff Arnold. And one thing that Jeff Arnold, that I've been hearing him say quite a bit in the last couple of years, and he's probably said it forever, but I've noticed it more in the last couple of years, is that the promises of God are not self-fulfilling. And when I read the Bible stories, I recognize, yeah, he's right. God gives promises, but it's still contingent on some of the actions of the people he promised it to. The people can't do it. God has to do it, but God gives promises, and still it's conditional on how we go forward once we've received a promise. God wants to give us the desires of our heart, but it begins with me delighting myself in the Lord and involving myself in the things of God, to where those are the things that I enjoy. Those are the things that I want. Those are the things that I'm after. And if I'll do that, he'll give me the desires of my heart. Now, a great Bible teacher who put a lot into me that Greg knows, named Newman Gerson, he told me years ago that this is God put a little catch in here for himself. And he said, yeah, he's going to give you the desires of your heart when you delight yourself in the Lord, because when you delight yourself in the Lord, your desires change. And the things that you desire become aligned with the will of God. But that's a great place to be, when the things that you have been desiring that are outside the will of God, those desires fall off. What a great place to be, that you're craving the right things. And when you do that, God will give those things to you. It's his desire to give. He's a good God by his own choice. Then verse 5 says, commit thy way unto the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So there again, there's some condition here. God's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So commit your way to him and trust in him, and then he's going to bring the good things to pass. Skipping down to verse 18 in this same chapter, David writes, the Lord knoweth the days of the upright, and their inheritance shall be forever. He's paying attention. He knows where we are. He knows what we're going through. Verse 19, they shall not be ashamed in the evil time, or the dangerous or perilous time. And in the days of famine, they shall be satisfied. Doesn't mean they're necessarily going to get everything they want during the days of famine, but they're going to be okay. Verse 23 says, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delighteth in his way. Though he fall, he shall not be utterly cast down, for the Lord upholdeth him with his hand. God is paying attention to where we are, where we're going, what we're doing, and he's ready to catch us and ready to help us. Verse 25, David writes, I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Now I'm going to tell you something. David is writing this, identifying the time frame, that he's not young while he's writing this, but he's already been through his youth. Now he's in his old age, and he's writing this song. If you read David's life, it's not what you might think, that, oh, David's a man after God's own heart. He killed the giant. He became the king. He did all these good things. He did do all those good things. But when you read the story of his life, actually, I feel like he went through more hardship than not. More of his time was spent in problems than in enjoying the comfort and blessing of the good things. It's tough stuff he went through. Real life kind of stuff, family problems kind of stuff, life-threatening kind of stuff, job problems kind of stuff, real stuff, hard stuff. And through all of that, he comes back around and says, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. And it's after going through all of that that he's saying, delight thyself in the Lord, and he shall give thee the desires of his heart. The Lord knows the days of the upright. He has that confidence. He has that comfort because he found God despite all the things that he went through. And then he writes down in verse 34, wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. You will receive the blessing. You may have to go through a time of hardship. You may even have to go through a time of frustration where you feel like you can't find God. But if you believe that God is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him, then don't give up on seeking him. And God will come through for you when he chooses to. And he's God and can make that choice. Here's another Psalm, chapter 121. It says, I will lift up mine eyes unto the hills, from whence cometh my help. My help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. You and I can't do that. We can't stay so on top of things that we can just not sleep and we can keep working at whatever. But God will not sleep. While I'm sleeping, God's not sleeping. He's keeping me while I'm not able to keep myself. He keeps, he that keepeth thee will not slumber. Behold, he that keepeth Israel, which just simply means the people of God, shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Lord is thy keeper. The Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord shall preserve thee from all evil. You might go through some evil, but he'll preserve you from it, and he shall preserve thy soul. The Lord shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth and even forevermore. And we believe that. Jesus himself spoke to us this way in Luke chapter 12. He said unto his disciples, therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, neither for the body what you shall put on. The life is more than meat, the body is more than raiment. So he's basically saying, if you're not able to get what you want to eat, and you're not able to get the things, clothing or whatever else, objects that you want, just, you might have to go through some time where you don't get everything you want. But there's more to life than getting what you want. There's more to life than having every craving met. And so don't stress over those things. Verse 24, consider the ravens, they neither sow nor reap, which neither have storehouses nor barns. God feeds them. How much more are ye better than the fowls? This is Jesus speaking, and he's assuring us that God cares about you more than he cares about the ravens. He does care. He is paying attention. He does know where you are, what you're going through, what problems you're facing, what stresses, what financial issues, what family issues. He knows, he sees it, he feels it for you because he cares more about you than he does about the ravens. But he's feeding them. And if he's feeding them, then he's going to feed you too. And which of you with taking thought can add to his stature 1 cubit? You really can't impact the course of nature by stressing over things. If ye then be not able to do that thing which is least, why take ye thought for the rest? Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, they spin not, and yet I say unto you that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. And I'll tell you this, when you get peace in your spirit through a walk with God, it does something to your countenance. It does something to you that when people see, regardless of what you're wearing, there's an attractiveness there. There's something that draws people to you that people appreciate. And whereas someone with all sorts of turmoil in their spirit, because they don't have peace with God, they can have the fanciest, nicest, most fashionable things on, and it may impress, but at the same time, when you look at a person in that situation, you're not drawn to them. And the glory to be arrayed in a spiritual peace is a greater raiment than nice clothes. But God will give you nice clothes too, just maybe not every time you want them. And verse 28, if then God so clothe the grass, which is today in the field and tomorrow is cast into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O ye of little faith? And seek not what ye shall eat or what ye shall drink, neither be ye of doubtful mind, for all these things do the nations of the world seek after, and your Father knows that you have need of these things. So don't seek those things, seek your Father instead, because he knows about your needs. So rather seek ye the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. Fear not, little flock. He's our good shepherd, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. He's a good God by his own choice, and he's a rewarder of them that diligently seek him.